Hi Stampers, my name is Meg and I'd like to welcome you to the LovenStamps studio. We have a project today that features the Cheers and Sips stamp set. So this is actually part of a whole suite called Celebratory Sips. And I don't know about you guys, but we have in the last couple of years gotten really excited about all kinds of fun mocktails and mixing up cool like fruit drinks with like juice and ice cubes and special dried fruit and all the things. And so all of those fun accoutrements, I guess, appear in the stamp set and give you a chance to build your own favorite drinks. Now, if you like the idea of doing that, great. If you don't like the idea of, or you want a quicker project, there is a pathway to quick cards also with this suite using the designer series paper. So we're actually gonna do both of those things on our card today. And if you're looking for a gift card holder for some fun occasion coming up, this one would be a perfect pocket card for you. So it's a great fun fold where you get to see both sides of the designer series paper. You might have seen my sailing card. It's floating around here somewhere. Sunrise sailing and sunset sailing. I can't remember. Sunrise, sunset. Anyway, the sailing card. And you might also have seen the turtle card that I shared like a couple weeks ago as another example of this sort of layout. So this one's a little different from the turtle card with cutting and sizing and so forth. So I'll make sure I give you those directions here. So now usually we are live and I get to say hi and comment when everybody comments on the video. So I'm not actually here in the studio today. This is a pre-recorded video, but please, please, please still say where you're watching from, where you're coming from, whatever you're working on right now. And I will see those comments later and get a chance to get back to you. So, and plus, you know, if you're watching live when I'm just releasing it, then it's really fun because you can chat with each other. So talk amongst yourselves, right? Okay, so getting back to our card here, let's go ahead and look here at our pieces, all right? We have a piece of cardstock. This base layer is 7 3/4 inches by 5.5 inches tall, and it is scored at 2.5 inches and 6 3/4 inches. So those pieces come together here. The cardstock or the designer series paper is 5.5 inches tall, so it's the same height as the card, but it is 6 inches wide, and I've scored it 2 inches from one end to fold over. Now I realized I think I forgot to put the circle punch in the supply list for this, but as always, there's a supply list in the video description and a link that you can click if you're looking for the things you need to make this card. So just know you'll have to add your own circle punch, and a variety of circle punches will work. This is just one that I like. Now, place your cardstock in the card, fold this over on it. That way you know that you're gonna line up at the top and the bottom and have exactly the placement that you need on these elements here. So then your card is going to be straight and everything will fold the way it's supposed to, okay? You can also use your multi-purpose liquid glue if you want to tape the tops and the bottoms of the pocket, and that will be a super easy attachment. All right, now I think I made the inside of the card first on the one I did these last time, so I'm gonna stick with that again here. I have a piece of watercolor paper. This is cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4 because it's gonna fit here. And the designer series paper for this, let me pull some pieces out here, is a really pretty watercolor. And so there are all kinds of fun things that you can do with it, including pulling these fun drinks right off of the paper and using them as card elements. But if you want to stamp inside, I'm going to continue the watercolor look, but we're going to stamp our own. Just really gorgeous papers here. All right, so I've got my Timid Tiger, and I know you might be thinking, Meg, wait, what? How are you not using StazOn if you're going to be doing watercoloring? Well, you'll see. I really wanted the outlines of this to be the same color as the insides, so I'm going to give you some tips for making that happen. And we're going to go ahead and stamp in Timid Tiger, which is one of the new in colors on our watercolor paper. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a drink umbrella. This is going to pop up here. And we're going to add a leaf, and for that I need my garden green ink pad, which I think maybe I have popped away already. That's okay, I'm gonna need Secret C too, so we'll pull that one also. So garden green is going to give us our little sprig here of mint or whatever I think this might be mint. Now, if you make this card and you miss here and you don't get your mint connected, remember that you can use your garden green Stampin' Right marker to just draw a little connection there. No harm, no foul. It's great to have markers that are coordinating. And then we're going to go ahead and take our Secret C here, which is one of the other new in colors, along with Timid Tiger, and hopefully right side up. I'm just going to stamp our little Let's Celebrate greeting. It's a really detailed image, so remember not to ink too hard and not to push too hard when you're stamping so that you don't overwhelm that little bit of photopolymer there. Okay, I'm going to need this one more time because we're going to stamp our cheers greeting to go on the front of our card, and I will show you how we're going to do that. But I am in love with Secret C for this really crisp, really nice blue that we're getting. So a gorgeous new ink pad color. All right, so for our Timid Tiger, I'm not going to put this away yet. And if you're worried because our umbrella is not connected, don't worry. We will remedy that. But I'm going to just take a clear block and I am going to drop it here onto my ink pad to pick up color. So now I basically have a Timid Tiger ink blot to use, and we're going to use some watercolor. Now, you can use just a paintbrush, a watercolor brush. If you have old aqua painters or water painters, Stampin' Up! Is between suppliers on these right now, but a regular water brush works great, just a simple paintbrush. So what you want to do when you're watercoloring on this paper is start off by giving it a layer of water. And so I'm going to squeeze the barrel a little bit. I'm getting the water only here where it's going to be inside, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't get too much. I can't quite see it from my angle here. But what that's going to do is it's going to wet the paper. Oh, I think you guys can actually see the water on there. That's good. What it's going to do is it's going to wet the paper so that when I would take my brush, and you don't have to have an aqua painter or anything special for this, I'm going to start down here, and do you see that color flow? I'm just going to go ahead and add that here to our water on the paper. Now, if you didn't pre-wet this, let me just show you what happens. If you just took watercolor paper and just picked up a bunch of ink, it would bind really heavily to the paper. And so what you get is a watercolor look, but it doesn't spread at all. So it's really hard to layer and to move that color around. So remember when you're watercoloring, if you really want to be able to kind of flow that water and that pigment, you want to make sure that you pre-wet your paper, okay? I am not a watercolor expert, I just play one on TV. So we're gonna make this nice and juicy here down at the bottom. I'm just gonna keep layering some extra color by picking it up, and then we're gonna let that be kind of light there at the top, okay? All right, so now I'll do just a little bit up here. There we go. I would take this and just run this out on scrap paper to get the extra ink off of my aqua painter, or you could just rinse out your watercolor brush if you're just using a watercolor brush, okay? All right, so that gives us some fun color here. Oh, before I do that though, I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of this, and I don't care too much about mushing the color around, so I'm just gonna add some light watercolor here in our umbrella just to give that some color. Now, you'll notice I didn't run over the edges of our glass. That's because if I do with my water, it's gonna pick that ink up and it's gonna smear that line. So for good reason there, I didn't wanna smear the line, I just wanted to have it be just really strong there. Now, I think I showed this the other day, but if you end up with a lot of water on your project and you're looking for a really easy way to kind of wick that off, you can take a new Stampin' Chamois. I mean, look at this gorgeousness. I think we should have like a ceremonial retiring of my old one, and you can just sort of dab the water off of there and it'll suck up any extra water that's flowing. You can see I've started to use this one just a little bit. Here is my old one, and I think that this one, with all its cracks and nastiness, I think this one's gonna be retired. I think that I deserve in my life a new Stampin' Chamois. Do you guys agree? Like, is this a thing? I feel like this is a basic thing to treat ourselves. So I am going to throw this away. Okay, so I know some of you are freaking out, and I'm kind of on my inside, like freaking out. So I'm not gonna throw it away yet, but if you have ideas for like a Stampin' Chamois retirement party, let me know. Is there something that I can do with this? Do I just throw it in the washing machine and see how it fares? I know my friend Mary Ellen Stites washes hers in the washing machine. maybe I should just do that and it'll be refreshed. But in the meantime, I'm treating myself to a new Stampin' Chamois. So I am getting to be inches away. Thank you all so much for your support. This last month has been amazing. I'm inches away from getting to our $1 million in career Stampin' Up! Sales. And I think that there should be a new Stampin' Chamois involved in that, don't you? I feel like when you've gotten to that point, you maybe could use a new chamois. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead, now I've talked long enough to let this dry, we're gonna go ahead and add our ice cubes. And so when you've chatted enough, you will be able to go ahead and stamp these ice cubes on here. And so, oh, maybe I didn't stamp quite long enough. They're running just a little bit, but I think you'll agree it's a really pretty effect with that watercolor and that pretty glass on there. Now, when it's really dry here, which we're gonna call now, I'm gonna take my Wink of Stella and I am going to just do a little Wink of Stella on here to give this just a tiny bit of shimmer. Let's see, get that evened out. Okay, so now do you see? So we have this really fun whole like glass thing going on. Now, if you're wondering about Wink of Stella and why I'm not using it to do the watercolor, I found that it was just a little bit overwhelming. So here's the Wink version. I thought it was too much shimmer for me. So if you love that look, then go for it. I kind of like the watercolor look with just a little shimmer on top. The liquid inside Wink of Stella is alcohol based, so that's why it doesn't watercolor the same, because it's not water, so it doesn't pick up that ink and flow quite the same way. Okay. All right. So now we have the inside of our card with this floating umbrella, and I promised you that we would get that remedied. So what I'm going to do is grab a piece of Secret Sky cardstock, which for some reason is missing here. But fortunately I have some on hand here. So I'm going to take this Secret Sky cardstock and we are going to die cut it with one of the fun dies in here. These dies are so sweet. This is actually my favorite one. I don't know, do you guys remember those glasses that had that sort of texture on them? My aunt had them when I was growing up and they were my favorite. I just love that like feeling. They're kind of frosty looking. So there's a glass on here. You can die cut the outside just as we've done it, or you can die cut it and add this texture on the inside for lots of fun. We're gonna use some texture on the front of our card too, but in the meantime, I'm gonna take this, which is our little pick piece here, and we're gonna do a quick, wrong button. There we go. A quick run through our die cut machine, and I'm going to make a little pick, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna use this with our umbrella. We're going to use this as the stick, and we're going to kind of do it like it's stabbed through the element on our card here, which I think is really kind of fun. Okay, so come with me. We'll zoom in a lot here. Okay, so I have my piece here, and what I want to do is I want to have it run through our umbrella like this, but we're going to want that to not look like it's just on top. So I'm going to trim this bit off and pop it here so our umbrella is on our skewer, and then I'm going to take the remaining piece and kind of eye it and trim it off here so it's going to fit. Now this is really hard to hold on to, so I'm going to show you a trick, and the trick is going to use our take your pick tool. So I'm going to put the glue on where I want it, a little bit of glue there and then a little bit of glue here. Okay. And then I'm going to use the putty tip from the end of the Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to pop that right there into the glue. Okay, and same for this one. So by putting the glue on the paper, I'm not getting gluey fingers, and then I don't have to try and handle those little bits by just popping them on with my Take Your Pick tool. So, okay, kind of fun, right? Okay, hope you guys are having fun with this. Are you picturing all the fun drinks that you can be making? Okay, let's come back to our card here, and we're gonna go ahead and pop this in. Timid Tiger is turning out to be the new in color, I think after Secret Sky, or Secret Sea, which is pretty much like a neutral. Like I'm using this in place of blacks or browns. I'm just using this as my neutral. Timid Tiger seems to be the color that's popping up next the most often. All right, so our pocket here you could use for a gift card, you could use for photos, you could use for an extra little note, all kinds of fun things. And then our card's gonna fold this way and this way. And now we need to get going here on the front of our card. So for this, I have from our designer series paper chopped out one of these glasses, and I did sort of a rough cut on it. I'm gonna go back and add a little bit more detail cut. You'll notice when I do this that I keep my right hand steady, it never moves. My left hand is the one that's turning the paper back and forth while I just make the long cut. So it's one long cut with my right, one turning with my left, and that really helps to smooth out the edges and get us a nice edge here on our card. I feel like you're really far away again. There we go. Okay, so this is gonna fit on here. Now I saved some of these flowers because they're in the background on this paper, and we can add some of them to our cup actually, like as an extra garnish. So some of the drinks are a little more garnished than others in the paper, but they're all pretty. And so I'm gonna just grab a couple of these here. Maybe I'll just do two. And we're gonna add them to our project. So let's see, what do we think out here? I feel like they can kind of sit, maybe they'll sit down here on the edge. Actually, I'm gonna hold off. We're gonna put those on once we get our banner. Now, what about these blank spaces here? I have cardstock that is cut to fit in these spots. And what I'm gonna do is give this an embossing folder treatment. There are 2 embossing folders here as part of the Glass and Gardens embossing folders that are included in this suite. So this one is meant to be the glass, sort of that little like cut glass kind of texture or impressed glass kind of texture. And I'm gonna put both of these pieces of cardstock in here and close them up. And then the other one is this nice pretty floral design, which is also a great one. So these are really simple. They're not 3D embossing folders, which means they're thin. You don't need a special plate for them. You just need the stuff that's with your die cut machine. Take away your narrow plate and just pop this between 2 cutting mats, okay, 2 of the clear plates. And if you forget, all you have to do is look at your mat, the thick mat on the die cut machine, because it'll tell you with little pictures. You don't even have to read if you don't want. Little pictures on here that show you how these elements come together. All right, so back to our hammer here. We have our elements, and you can see that the texture travels. It gets lighter as you go across. So we're gonna have heavy texture here to lighter texture here. And I'm gonna go ahead and pop these onto our card, okay? All right, you've noticed that I don't really go out to the edges on these. I don't think, these cards don't come apart. This glue is awesome stuff. And I don't mind if they kind of pop up at the edges. I know different people have different opinions on this. I like the extra element of that shadow that shows up on the edges when you have like a panel like this. It just feels extra layered to me, so. But if you want, you can glue everything down super tight. All right, now our cheers greeting, we're gonna go ahead and pop under here. I'm gonna go ahead and trim off a banner tail because it's a party, so woohoo. And then I'm gonna take a look at where this falls. It overlaps a little too far from our card edge, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim this down like so. And now I can put our drink on here and kind of take a look at where our flowers are gonna go. I'm gonna kind of use them to sort of decorate right there at the edge. So let's go ahead and put these pieces on. I have my Stampin' Dimensionals that I'm gonna put behind our drink. And I'll show you 2 more versions of this card with other beverage choices. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna glue this one flat because part of it's gonna be inside our card. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this on like so. And then I'm gonna put our flowers on here flat too because they don't, I'm gonna use my take your pick tool to pick those up. No use in like trying to work too hard to snag those, right? So I'm gonna pop those there on the edge of our glass, okay? All right, and then we need, oh, our cheers is not sticking. You gotta give it a second with multi-purpose liquid glue. It sticks really strongly, but it doesn't grab instantly. So we're gonna give it an extra second. All right, and now we're gonna add some gems. So the gems that are part of this suite are these. They are the Strawberry Slush and Pretty in Pink gems, and they come in 3 different colors. The lighter one is clear, so literally it matches everything. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go with the medium ones here, I think, because they are just a fun design, so a fun color. And I'm gonna put 3 of them on because you guys know me, I always use 3 of everything. So there, those are very much in a line. Let's put this down here. Okay, so we have 3 little gems. Oh, Pepper's come to say hi. 3 little gems that kind of focus our attention here. They're bringing your eye into the focal point. And then we have our card that opens with a second panel and our pretty watercolor and pocket there on the inside. All right, kind of a fun layout. So here, let's look at some other ones. You can see that from the paper, there are a lot of choices for putting different beverages on your card. There's sort of a lemonade-based one, Bloody Mary one. I don't know what these are. If you guys know what they are, feel free. I'm sure there's some fun sangria things in here, but here is one with sort of a lavender cocktail kind of look to it. So another sprig. And then here I did one with the celery and tomato juice and so forth. So, but however you do it, whatever beverage you want to put on here, the coloring on the inside is just a fun way to go ahead and use the stamps to make sort of custom beverages. So I encourage you to use both parts of it, both the designer series paper and the stamp set, to make the most of this. And of course the texture from the folder and the texture from the dies that are included in this suite. So lots of good possibilities. All right, well, good news. I will be back next week in person on Tuesday and Thursday. So I will be here for Maker Mornings with Meg to actually see you and say hi while we're watching and stamping. I have another turtle card to share with you because they are turtly cute after all. And let's see, I can't remember what the other one is for next week, but I'm looking forward to sharing them with you, and I hope you guys have had a wonderful week, and I will look forward to seeing your comments, so make sure you leave a comment whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, and I look forward to seeing those and saying hi. So happy stamping, everyone. Have a wonderful day.